As an organisation, I think because we are every day looking at the consequences of brain injury, it's become more and more urgent for us to try and make sure that people can prevent this as much as possible, specifically to do with sports. And I suppose the most silent and unknown or less known condition is concussion.
Concussion is a reaction from the brain to either a direct or an indirect injury to the brain. The functions of the brain become somewhat compromised.
Concussion is one of those hidden incidences where you don't see it. It's not like a torn ligament or a broken leg where it's kind of really very evident. And so what we're trying to do is get people to make the connection that when they get a bang to the head and they start to feel a bit nauseous or dizzy or disorientated, that they really have to stop and say, this is quite serious, this could be a concussion. And I think the other big message is that if you do and you have had a concussion, that you get yourself off the pitch, basically. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right and you need to get seen to. And we would be asking also coaches, mentors, parents, also to be aware that sometimes what they observe, the players themselves aren't feeling. Like we've had players say, for example, that they've played on and they can't remember the last half of the match. Now, they wouldn't necessarily have identified that they themselves had a concussion, but people should have been watching and need to be able to take those people off the pitch. They need to then sit it out. They need to take time to recover, to have rehab before they return to play.
I've seen situations where I've seen my colleagues being concussed and not remembering winning games and stuff like that, you know, so it's something that we all just have to buy into. And in the GAA terms, that we have to be better educated on this here, you know.
There is a reluctance to come off from players, there's a reluctance from managers, coaches. A rational decision doesn't always follow. The safety and the welfare of the player has to be optimal. Now, if he's your best player, there's always the risk to say, you know, he's been bumped around a little bit, he's just taken a knock.
So I've got concussed once or twice now playing bodybuilding, so I suppose, again, I know firsthand kind of how it feels. Yeah, and I suppose it's just very important to know kind of when to come back, because I think it's coming into the game more and more these days. It can happen in a number of ways. You don't have to be out cold like I was. There's other examples. You can just feel nauseous, you can be unbalanced and these sort of things. So it's very important for amateur players to know all the symptoms.
I suppose there was a good few players there that hadn't been wearing the helmets and then they had to go wear them, and I suppose at the start they probably thought it was different, but I suppose they just got on with it because they knew they had to, and I think now no player would it's just common knowledge, they just take the helmet and that's it.
I think the campaign with ABI Ireland and the GAA and GPA was really around education and empowering players and coaches, not only around recognising the symptoms of concussion when it's occurred, but also about how to recognise when to take someone out of a game, when to maybe someone needs further investigations. I think it is just about, I suppose, the 4 hours of report it, rest it, recuperate and return, and I think that's the big thing, is that it would follow those guidelines and that everyone would be safe and would recognise the importance of it.